The University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh Fox Cities campus assists the City of Menasha with video recordings of city meetings. Menasha residents and interested parties can get information about city meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the city website, www.cityofmenasha-wi.gov. To express opinions about City of Menasha issues or these broadcasts, contact the Mayor's office, 920-967-3608. Contact the City Alderman. Contact information appears on the website. Or complete the electronic feedback form on the City website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.
Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Common Council meeting to order. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could have the roll, please.
Alderman Sevenick.
Here.
Alderman Langdon.
Here.
Alderman Schmidt.
Here.
Alderman Tom Grady.
Here.
Alderman Ted Grady.
Here.
Alderman Rapella.
Here.
Alderman Nichols.
Here.
Alderman Taylor. All are present.
The first item on the agenda this evening is the report of department head, staff, and consultants. We have the minutes and communications. Do we have a motion? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll move for that we receive minutes A through G and communications H through K.
Is a motion and a second? Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item F is public comments. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment this evening?
Good evening, Sandra DeBill Taylor, 545 Broad Street. Just a few things tonight. I'm going to start with the Administration Committee. Under item D3, Ordinance 06-22, amending the outdoor food and alcoholic beverage permit. There is no memo attached to this, but I can give you a little background because actually I'm the one that brought it forward. There is currently a pending new restaurant moving into the downtown. They want to have a rooftop dining. Our current code for outdoor food and beverage, which is approved by the Common Council. It's not a given. The council has the authority to approve or deny. It currently states that it's limited to 50% of the area of the enclosed building. If that were the case, their rooftop would be cut in half. They wouldn't be able to do the entire rooftop. That is in place due to the fact that otherwise you could have huge outdoor beer and garden areas. They could fill up their entire parking lot if you had a tiny little building. So what I am asking for is there is an amendment that excludes the 50% limitation on rooftop only, which is fine. But I'm asking that it be amended to only be allowed in the C2 downtown business district and not open to every business that's labeled as commercial, because then we could have it throughout the community. Noise and other things happen in other areas, so I would like that amended. Then, under the Board of Public Works, there's two items. First is an agreement with McMahon Associates for stormwater, the urban non-point source and stormwater planning grant for $172,950. The memo states not to exceed. However, the agreement does not say not to exceed. I would suggest that you ask McMahon to revise their agreement to say not to exceed, and that they also provide current fee and reimbursable schedules. The schedules they have included are from 2021, and I'm assuming the rates probably went up an average of 4%.
I'd ask you to give Sandra some extra time. We got a vacuum cleaner going there, and but they should know, there should be a policy where they don't vacuum during our council meetings, and it's like every council meeting. So sorry about that.
That's no problem.
In fact, if you go over what you just said, the last part.
For the Board of Public Works, sure.
Randy, you gotta keep that one open. Okay.
There is an agreement with McMahon Associates for the Stormwater Planning Grant. The memo that staff prepared asks that you approve it at a not-to-exceed amount. The actual agreement does not say not to exceed, it says time and expense. So I would ask that you request McMahon to revise their agreement to say not to exceed, and that they also provide you with current fee and reimbursable schedules. The ones they provided are from 2021, and on average, their rates probably went up by 4%, just so that everything's clear. My other question with that is, they stated that this amount has been budgeted. In the current budget for 2022, there's only $5,000 budgeted. But if you look back in the budget, 2 years ago, this amount was budgeted. So my question is, has that been carried forward? Or is this an amendment that you need 2/3 vote? Did you already spend that money? And that this is not a budgeted item. Then, also under Public Works, the signage. I went over this last week. I'm not going to go too much farther about it. However, one of my big issues with this, on the second page of I believe both of the items, one is for honorary signs, one is for a neighborhood sign. It limits it to 10 years from the date of the application. That means we're going to be eliminating our forefathers and the people that made this city. Smith, Curtis Reed, anyone. So I'm not in favor of really doing this, but it does go through the Board of Public Works. I think especially the neighborhood ones, because actually that could get kind of out of hand. Then on to the Common Council. I'm going to limit my comments on the bird scooters. Last meeting, you had a presentation under report of department heads, consultants. It wasn't an action item to come forward with an agreement. So I'm actually surprised that this does appear. It should have actually gone to the Sustainability Board first, which it didn't. So it's kind of, to me, getting ramrodded through here. Because it really didn't give the public any notice about it. This has been controversial in many cities. Milwaukee shut it down. Areas in California, San Francisco, have cut it down. They find them thrown in the ocean because people hate them. Oshkosh, their amendment that they put in place last summer limited no sidewalk and no leaving them anywhere. They had to be returned to the store where they rented them. There were no docking stations because there were so many complaints about people getting run over on the sidewalk with these things. I think it needs further looking at, especially currently we're looking at 75 scooters. Our downtown is shut down. I mean, we have road construction going on. We have a bridge shut down. Broad Street's been dead-ended. So for people to be riding around these things, we're not even going to have probably 75 people in the downtown all summer shopping, on a given day. I would like to wait and wait a year, see if Nina does this and how it pans out in Nina before we jump into it, because honestly, I think it's going to be a mess. And I'll leave it at that. Good luck to all of you running for re-election. Hopefully I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Seeing no one else, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion for the consent agenda or anything that you would like separated? Alderman Sevenick.
Mayor, I think we just go through all of them.
Go ahead.
Thank you. At this time, I would move for the approval of the common council minutes of 3/21/22.
Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item 2 is a street use permit. Is there a motion? Is there a motion?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make, there we go. Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion to approve the street use application for the Memorial Day Parade to be held on Monday, May 30th, 2022, from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., hosted by the Twin City Veterans.
So a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item 3 is a agreement for urban search and rescue. Is there a motion? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll move for the approval of the agreement for urban search and rescue emergency response services from April 1 of 22 to April 30th of 2024.
So a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item 4 is approval to fill a vacancy. Is there a motion? Do you want to do that, Stan, or do you want to do it? Alderman Rapella.
I'll make a motion to approve the filling of the vacant firefighter position created by Mitch Behrens. I just wanted to make sure I said the name correctly. And move forward with the hiring of another firefighter to offset the known overtime that will be incurred due to the current long-term FMLA.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Sevenick.
Randy, what is the FMLA?
Family Medical Leave Act. You're welcome.
Any further?
Randy's on my committee.
Yes.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item 5 is creating an interview panel. Is there a motion? Alderman Grady.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to make the motion for creating an interview panel that consists of the following: the chairman, the vice chairperson of the Personnel Committee, the mayor, and the police chief Stika.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Item 6 is approving the hiring rate. Alderman Grady.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, I'd like to make the motion for approving the hiring rate of $31.37 per hour, analyzed at $65,250 for the mechanic one position, Public Works.
Is there a second? Second. There's a motion and a second by Alderman Schmidt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we're going to have a roll call vote on this one.
Alderman Sevenick. Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Rapella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item I is action items. The first is the accounts payable and payroll for March 18th through 31st. Is there a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve the accounts payable and payroll for the term of March 18th through March 31st, 2022, in the amount of $1,100,053.93.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Is there any discussion? Alderman Sevenick.
Jennifer, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you on these, but I do have two. The first one is, oh, here it is. very first page, Badger Labs for Gunderson's, and then it has project number 22003183. Could you explain what that was for? It's a little over $1,000. And I'm almost guessing what it is, seeing they gave it to,
That's part of our industrial sewer monitoring program. So we pay the bill to Badger Labs and we turn around and bill the
Okay.
industrial user that same fee.
all right, I wanted to make sure that that was the case. It looked like, we're paying for Gunderson, but that, I guess that's not the case, all right. And I'm sorry, Chief is probably, Fire Chief is probably aware of this. It seems like every, remember last council meeting, I was kinda whining about if we keep getting these same charges all the time, month by month by month. Well, here's another one for, Vorpal Fire and Safety, for 1,350. Jennifer? Oh, I'm sorry, 74249. Oh, that's almost my phone number. 74249. See, she knows my phone number. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, page 6 of the combined page 6.
It looks like these are AED defibrillators for the police department.
Okay. That's all I have, Mayor.
Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Sevenick.
Aye.
Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Rapella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item 2 is a MOU between the city and Bird Scooters. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, so, don't we have this in the administration committee? Let me go backwards here. Oh, maybe it's on here. We do not?
So the process for this is first we would either approve or deny the MOU. And if we do approve the MOU, it's contingent upon changes in the ordinance, correct, Director Schrader?
Oh, okay.
Just, there will be some changes to the ordinance for the trails.
My thing is that I kind of agree with Ms. Taylor about it just appearing on the council, and that, I think we should really have this before the administration committee. I think that's the proper channel when we deal with these types of ordinances, that instead of going direct to council and then we talk about them even though we're the same, it should go through certain committees first for, just kind of like the sign one that's coming up,
So if you want to send it to committee,
yeah,
it would likely die and then we'd start over again,
because of sign die.
yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Well, that
so
would-
why don't we have the
It
discussion?
would be a week later anyways.
Yeah. We
Won't
could
really
still have the
matter.
discussion tonight if you have discussion items. If you don't want to approve it tonight and want to do something different, that's fine. But let's at least find out what the concerns are or the positives to this are.
Sure, if
and
someone,
then-
if someone wants to make the motion to move forward, go ahead. I don't have a problem with the scooters. I've heard nothing but positive things in the city of Appleton about them, and also from people who have used them, so, maybe there is the discussion about sidewalks. Is that what the mayor was saying?
Maybe we can just address it.
Okay,
if that's all right.
if that's up to the mayor.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, certainly. So I do just want to, I guess, update, just in general. Again, Appleton, the city of Appleton's on their second year of pilot. So they did have this program all last year. We've received positive feedback from their group that has organized it. They've made a lot of changes coming into this year. In addition, we've brought those changes into this. We have been working with the city of Neenah very closely as well. Their MOU, I believe, is on their council meeting tomorrow night for final consideration. So that was one point that was noted, and then the other point was noted was the number of scooters within the city of Menasha. Again, we are looking at 75 in the total area. This is what would be recommended by bird scooters. And with 75, there would likely be at any given time probably 50 on the actual street. And then we also note that no more than 20 in the downtown area, and we also define that downtown area. If those numbers, again, from a standpoint that we would like to start and reduce those for a first pilot year, we can certainly do that. Those are, again, numbers that we could negotiate on. So I just wanted to update, I guess, on Appleton, the city of Neenah, and then that last comment about the number of scooters.
Yeah, I think the number sounds high, but if you recall at the last council meeting, I wanted us to be mirror the ordinance with the city of Neenah, so that if there were some violations or something and it went to municipal court, that it would be, you know, both Neenah and Menasha.
Yeah, so the MOU is very, very similar. The ordinance, the only thing in the ordinance that would not allow these types of scooters is on the trail system themselves. So right now, motorized scooters are prohibited on the trails. So if this MOU would be approved prior to that ordinance, what that would basically mean is the scooters would be allowed throughout the community, just not on the actual trail system.
Okay. And is that the direction you're getting from Neenah?
I believe that's very similar direction as far as where they are,
Because to
where
me,
they're
why
moving
have
forward.
the scooters if you can't use the trail system?
Yep.
So I wouldn't want to see, I'm okay with them being on the, maybe someone has a different opinion, but I don't think it's a problem to be on the trail system.
Yep,
Because
and right
really,
now,
if we're gonna link our communities, the best way to link them is through our trail system.
yes, and so what we had talked about is because the trails are kind of oversaw by the Parks Department, that we would bring that specific ordinance to the next park board meeting, which is April 26th. So that actual ordinance then would not appear back in front of the common council until May 2nd, I believe is the date.
Okay, I see other lights on, lots of lights on, I'll let them talk.
Thank you, Mayor. So I got two questions. First one is for whoever, you mentioned about who's gonna monitor how many scooters are downtown every day? Who can answer that for me? Chief? Sam?
So it wouldn't be a city monitoring per se. So with this type of organization, they have an individual tasked in our area to reestablish and relocate these scooters. So every night, these scooters are going to get replaced, reset up in their designated preferred areas, and no more than 20 of those would be in the downtown. Now, from a standpoint of if there's, let's say, 20 in the downtown and somebody drives 3 in, we're not going to be enforcing that, you just can't. But then in the evening, when somebody goes around and actually recollects those, or early in the morning and reestablishes those or replaces those, at that point, then there would not be no more than 20.
Okay, so, and I don't know this, so somebody comes in and resets the scooters up every night?
Correct.
Oh, okay, didn't know,
them up
I didn't know that. Okay, so then the next question is, Megan's not here, but Sam, bikes are allowed on our trails,
Bicycles are allowed on the trails.
then scooters should be allowed. Okay, thank you.
Alderman Rapella.
Thank you, Mayor. Sam, where are the locations of these docking points? Or you said 20 of them are gonna be downtown. Do you have specific, like, are they gonna be set up by Clovis Grove School, out by Butamore, out by Maplewood? Where are they gonna be set up?
So per the MOU, the city staff would work with them to establish these designated parking areas. I believe in there it states no more than 5 would be placed in one area together. So again, let's say, again, you have to be 18 to ride them, to have the app. So Clovis School's probably not a location that they would look at. Maybe the UW campus, the downtown, other areas such as that where, there's other transportation around as well.
Okay, so when you work the numbers, 75 minus 20 is 55, so you need like 11 other docking stations or, whatever, startup points, so, right?
Yep, and so there wouldn't be, again, any docking station, these are dockless. And that's where while there might be 75 designated to the city of Menasha, that individual is gonna have 25 of those charging, kind of in the back, wherever they hold that hub to make sure those facilities are kept up. Maybe they need some small maintenance. And just while we're talking, I did also pull up, I wanted to note that the city of Neenah, their MOU, you mentioned kind of staying close to them. They are, from the last I've heard, they are starting with 30, not 75. But the 75 is what is recommended by Bird Scooters. So again, to reduce that number or to fluctuate that number, we can certainly look at.
Okay, and I have still one more thing. I'd like it to be, if Neenah, whatever their decision tomorrow, I'd like to, it should be both cities having these Bird Scooters. If it's not both cities, then in my mind, we shouldn't do it. So, all right, thank you.
Alderman Taylor?
Thank you, Mayor. Sam, are they allowed on sidewalks?
They would be allowed on sidewalks, but the MOU does specifically state, again, in the downtown area, that they would be prohibited on the sidewalks.
Just downtown though?
Just on the
otherwise-
downtown.
And what are the top speeds?
So I believe they can go 20 to 25 miles per hour, but we would limit them to, I think it states 15 miles per hour and then 12 miles per hour on the trail system. So again, because of that geofence, once you enter a certain zone, they can actually automatically reduce the maximum speed of that.
I would like to see at least, if it's on sidewalks in the community, it shouldn't be more than, 10, 12 miles an hour. I don't want to see 15 miles an hour on the sidewalk. It's only 4 or 5 feet wide and you can really hurt somebody, and we have a hard enough time with people on their bikes, on the trails that they don't have respect for people, tell them they're coming up behind them, and I hate to clip somebody with one of these and at that type of speeds. I would like to see the whole trail system in the city be limited to 12 miles an hour. If somebody's on the street, I don't care how fast they're going, but on the sidewalk or trail system, we should have that better regulated.
Yeah, so one of the things is it is difficult to, for the geofencing where the current technology is, you could geofence out, let's say, the Racine Street Bridge or the Trestle Trail, because that's kind of a secluded trail or a secluded bridge. But sidewalks directly abutting or running parallel to a street, it's gonna be really difficult for them to do that. So then it's gonna be all or nothing. I think I noted even, along the trail system, along Manitowoc Road there, that's gonna be a little difficult, if there's all of a sudden a scooter there and we didn't approve that ordinance, that's really difficult for them to geofence out that specific stretch of trail and not allow it on the street.
Somebody runs somebody over on the sidewalk, whose insurance covers it?
That would be, Bird does have their own insurance policy, and again, this MOU of understanding is not a partnership, it's not an agreement, it is an understanding for the city to allow them to use it within our municipal boundaries.
So where would the insurance fall under if you run into a pedestrian and seriously injure somebody with this on a trail or on a sidewalk?
I would assume that those two parties and Bird Scooter is gonna have some involvement with that, but that would not be the city of Menasha's to get involved with.
Okay, and could we put a 12-mile-an-hour speed limit in the city on them?
I believe that is feasible to do the entire city. And I think at some point you get to a speed where you would get far less usage, and I think that's where they were looking at the 12 miles an hour for reducing on the trail system. And I think it's in there with a 15 mile per hour speed limit. The city of Neenah is at 18, and I don't believe they reduce for their trail systems either.
Okay. And since we're trying to, Menasha's mirroring Nina or Nina's mirroring us, I would like to go with the 30 scooters, and Nina's 10,000 people more than us, and if they're only starting out with 30, I think that's a good number for us too. Thank you.
So, yep, so the city of Neenah does have a maximum speed throughout the city of 18 miles per hour, except the trestle bridge where it shall be 12 miles per hour.
So when we wrote this MOU as well, when we looked at those speeds and where they could be used and where they couldn't be, this mirrors bikes. And since bikes are allowed on the sidewalk, they can travel similar speeds, and we felt that it would make sense to have them kind of mirror that same. We did, and actually it was your brother who changed it.
I changed it on the bridge.
Anyhow. And the other thing to think about when you limit the number of these scooters, the only way these scooters are really useful is when you walk out of wherever you are, that there's some there. So if you have too few of them and you can never be sure that there's gonna be one around, then they're pretty much useless. So 30 over the entire city is way too few. But, well, I'm just saying, if you want these to be used, there has to be enough that, that you can expect one to be there. Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a few points to clarify. Building off of Alderman Langdon's question about who keeps track of the scooters, to be clear about that, Bird hires someone to do that. It's not a city employee, correct?
Correct.
Okay. It does say in section 5.2 that in Menasha, these will be limited to a speed of 15 miles an hour, and on the trails 12 miles an hour. Just wanted to point that out. And you and I had a conversation this morning about Nina's process, and if I'm remembering correctly, you said that Nina was bringing forward the MOU and the change to the trail, to allowing these on the trails at the same time. Did I misunderstand that?
I believe so.
Okay.
I can't speak 100% sure though.
Okay. Thank you.
And if I can add a point to that, if, let's say, approved tomorrow or Wednesday, excuse me, by the Neenah Council, it would be anticipated that the first scooter would not hit the city of Neenah probably until mid-May. So that would be a similar approach too, because it does take some time to, again, get all the proper documentation and the equipment here to facilitate that.
Alderman Grady?
Oh, thank you.
Sure.
Very good questions by the older people up here about this whole scooter thing. To Stan's point, if you can't use them on the trails, then we don't need them. And you can regulate the speeds. We have bicycles with motors on them nowadays that are on these trails too. They're probably running more than 12 to 15 miles per hour. And it's a nightmare for the police, because they're not gonna sit there and monitor this and all this other stuff. So, as Sandra said, Taylor, maybe we bring this to administration or bring this to committees. It's a good thing to have here, but we gotta iron out the details here before this council passes it, and then we gotta make all these different amendments to it. So, I'm for them, but we can control them. Thank you.
Alderman Nichols?
Thank you. This is for 1 year, correct? This is a pilot program, so, I mean, we can look at it as a few months out of the year to see how this works for Menasha. I'm not sure how I feel about them. On the other hand, it makes me feel more comfortable knowing that Bird has the ability to control things like the location and the speed. That's all controlled by the company through the app. So the machine can only go 15 miles an hour because that's the only speed. It won't, the app won't let them go any higher, any faster. So much of this is controlled through technology and by Bird, that if they don't control it, then we have the ability to check in with them and say, this isn't working for us. And it is only for 1 year. And then after the first adventure with these, we can check back in and see if we need more or less, or what other things need to be adjusted.
And for, excuse
yeah.
me. I was just gonna add a point of clarification to the suspension under 3.2. It can be suspended at any point without cause by either myself or Chief Stika, as well as be terminated within a 7-day written notice period. So there is those clauses in there that we could have some protection. Let's say if it's going really bad, we just wanna completely pause it and re-look at it next year, or just be completely done. We have those options.
So with that, I'll make a motion to approve this memorandum of understanding for 1 year between the city of Menasha and Bird Scooters.
There's a motion and a second. Additional discussion, Alderman Taylor?
I think last time we had this up, there was a question for the attorney on the amount of insurance, and if it was gonna be 1 million or 2 million.
Attorney Captain, do you have a comment on that?
We did keep the insurance at 1 million.
Could we have, had a $2 million policy? I think that's what we have for street closures, don't we?
No, it's 1 million.
It's $1 million?
It is, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm willing to vote for this tonight, mainly because it's a memorandum of understanding, but could we have this come back to either administration or back to the council for any of those additional changes? Everybody good with that?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Seeing, sure.
If I can just mention about the bicycles, I know that that was one of the issues that, as I was going through this, I did look at our ordinances, and bicycles with motors are not allowed on trails. And of course, it's a new, relatively new item within the last several years that they're becoming more and more popular. And their maximum speed is 15 miles per hour. And with any of these, it depends on the weight of the person. That does affect the maximum, just so that you're aware, yeah, the maximum speed. Depending on what the weight is, it could be less than that. And of course, if you're going downhill or something like that, it may be a little bit more. But that is one of the issues that does need to be addressed through the park board if they wish to, take into consideration that bicycles now quite frequently do have something on them to electric motors to help them. They would have to change the ordinance for that as well. So that will be something that they consider. And then, obviously, if this passes, this would also go before them and would kind of fall under the same category because, again, 2 would be a maximum speed of 15 miles per hour.
Alderman Taylor?
I think that's a great idea. addressing the electric bikes too, because my neighbor bought one from Germany, and he's got these big tires, and he works over at Plant Two across the lake over there, and he uses the trail. And that bike can, 29 miles an hour, that thing could travel at, so, I mean, that's really a clip. So, I guess it's a good time to, with the park department, us to revisit speed limits on trails and things like that for public safety. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Sevenick.
Aye.
Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Repella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item 3 is a listing agreement. Do we have a motion? Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to renew the listing agreement with Assist-to-Sell for the property of 205 Matthewson Street for an additional year.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Alderman Nichols.
I noticed there is not a list price in the agreement. There was an agreed upon list price a year ago.
Director Schrader, was that intentional?
Yeah, so this listing agreement would basically just execute the same exact listing contract, just extend it out a year.
And what was the listing price?
I knew you were gonna ask that, and I'm looking for it. That's, I believe it was 25,000.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Sevenick.
I was gonna say, regardless, it could be $1. I mean, it has to come back to the council for final approval. Someone might make an offer of, say, 24,000, so.
It was 20,000.
Maybe 24,000.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Now we got 6 of them that we're gonna need to do roll call votes, so. Item K is ordinances and resolutions. The first is R 422. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Alderman Repella?
I'll make a motion to, let me see here. To allow, I don't know, let's see. To allow a resolution terminating City of Menasha Tax Increment District TID number 9, authorizing city treasurer to distribute excess increment to overlying taxing districts.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Schmidt. Any discussion? Did you have discussion, Randy, or no?
No.
No? Okay. Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Sevenick. Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Repella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item 2 is Resolution 7, authorizing the application for a stormwater construction grant. Alderman Langdon.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make the motion to authorize Resolution R-7-22, and that's authorizing the application for the stormwater construction grant funding from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources.
Is there a second? Second. It's a motion and a second by Alderman Ted Grady. Is there any other discussion? Seeing no other discussion, if we could have roll call vote, please?
Alderman Sevenick. Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Repella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item 3 is Resolution 8. Is there a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move to approve Resolution 822, a resolution authorizing borrowing from WPPI Energy for LED lighting upgrades.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please?
Alderman Sevenick. Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Repella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item 4 is Resolution 9. Is there a motion? Alderman Nichols?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move for Resolution 922, a resolution authorizing borrowing from WPPI Energy for the water meter upgrades.
So motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Sevenick. Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Rapella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item 5 is Resolution 10. Alderman Sevenick.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'll move for R-1022, a resolution adopting the Calumet County Hazard Mitigation Plan.
Second.
Some motion and a second, and just FYI, there is also a Winnebago County Hazard Mitigation Plan that we just received, but we did not have the resolutions quite ready, so you'll see that at the next meeting. Any other discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Sevenick. Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Rapella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item 6 is Resolution number 11. Is there a motion? Alderman Nichols.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move for Resolution 1122, a resolution amending the Articles of Organization and the bylaws of East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission.
Second.
So motion and a second. Discussion. Alderman Sevenick.
Mayor, today you and I talked about this. Did you have an opportunity to talk to East Central about our issues?
I could not get a hold of East Central, but basically what this does is it removes the governor's appointments, and they've been having issues getting the governor's appointments ratified through the legislature. So this just would remove those governor's appointments. It doesn't change the representation that we have currently.
I just want to have the mayor say that publicly. It just shows that our legislators in Madison are being petty. Right? And we have other issues that are similar that are affecting our state, like with the DNR. So I wasn't really sure how I wanted to support this or not. But it takes the communities involved to agree, and I think it's more or less their bylaws. And they want to be able to hold their meetings or have their meetings and have enough representation. So I struggle with this one because I almost want to send a message back to the controlled legislators in Madison who are being petty and ridiculous and are making our local governments more difficult to deal with issues. So with that said, I'll vote for this because I think it's more important, other than the pettiness in Madison, to be able to allow for East Central to start doing their work.
Seeing no further comments, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Sevenick. Alderman Langdon. Alderman Schmidt. Alderman Tom Grady. Alderman Ted Grady. Alderman Rapella. Alderman Nichols. Alderman Taylor. Motion carries 8-0.
Item L is appointments. There are 2 appointments this evening. Do we have a motion for one or both?
Excuse me, Mayor.
Sure.
Hold on a second. We had some computer issues, that's all.
No problem.
Sorry, thank you.
Apparently Alderman Nichols would like to make a motion.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move for the mayor's appointment of Kyle Conan, to the Redevelopment Authority, and the reappointment of Kip Golden to the Redevelopment Authority. Both, are they identical terms, Mayor?
They are not.
Okay.
They're filling, Kyle's, I believe, is a new term, and Kip's is a continuing term.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any discussion? Oh, yeah, we do need a second too, don't we? Sorry. Seeing, oh, Stan?
Go ahead. what do you have? Go ahead, you can go ahead.
Are we voting on both of these at the same time?
No,
The motion was
For both at the
for
same
both,
time?
yes.
they were.
No,
Well,
no.
then-
I'm,
To separate.
Okay,
it.
then
I'm gonna,
just
yeah, I'm not
ask
gonna
for them
vote.
to be separated. Mark,
Yeah,
just ask for them to be
yeah, I'd
separated.
like to have them, separated, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you. I just want to say again that I think that this is a very important committee. I did look at Kyle's qualifications and they look very good. But I also would like to see people that have lived in this community more than 2 years to represent us in our community. And we did have an individual that has expressed her interest on being on this committee, and I think she would have played a very good role in that committee. But let's start thinking about people that have made a commitment to our community for decades and not a couple years. So, but I am happy with the appointment. I will move to approve, and I think that Kyle will bring a lot to the committee. It has nothing to do with him. It's just that I still think there's other people out there that have requested to be on this committee, and they should be able to serve unless there's a reason, and that should be pointed out. And I did contact the mayor to please do that.
Alderman Taylor?
Thanks, Mayor. You know, you're out campaigning, people talk to you about different things, and a couple people asked me about commissions. And I think there should be something that at least we have aldermen should be able to see these commission lists, and if there's openings on them, and what the line of progression is for people that have said they wanted to be on it. So I think it needs to be much more transparent for all of us to see these lists, and to see, well, so-and-so might be getting off this at this time, and this person may want to get on it. So I just think it's good, transparent government. Thank you.
If you have some people that have expressed interest, please
Yeah,
let me know. I do not have reams of paper of people who want to be on these committees.
Yeah, well, I will.
Typically, it's very difficult to find people, so if you
have a
have
few.
some suggestions, let me know.
Yeah. And Sandra's been begging us. She comes to every meeting, and she just begs us to be on these committees for, since Mayor Laux, and she doesn't get put on. Smart, informed about the issues, yet we keep bypassing people like that. So what does that tell the other people that watch this, and that don't come to the meetings, and don't be a good citizen, be informed? We're gonna pass you by. That's what that's saying.
So right now, what's on the floor is the appointment of Kyle Coonan. And actually, we don't need a roll call vote. All those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Seeing none. Item 2 then is the reappointment of Kip Golden, which was separated. Is there any further discussion on that appointment? Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. So, being an alderman, I take very, very seriously. And I'm here, I've had many, many surgeries, full of metal in me, and I've still made most of the meetings. And I read our packets when we get them. And the very first thing I do is at each one, I look at who was absent. And I'm sorry, but for this nomination, and the RDA today in our community is really, really important of what's going on, what we have going on, what we want going on. And the RDA is big on that, is huge in working with the Park and Rec. So you need to be present, and that's the way I look at aldermen, and that's the way I look at these committees. If you're going to put your name in there and you want to be part of that, you better be there. So with that, I'm going to deny my vote for this nomination.
I guess did you want to take this, Sam, or do you want me to?
No, I was just gonna add to that, thank you, Mayor. So Kip Golden, did have a lot of sincere apology, but he did have, kids playing basketball. That fell on Tuesday nights, and again, basketball is done. You have obligations, and again, sometimes, especially myself, sometimes kids come first, so, that was the reasoning in the past few meetings.
So we did, as Director Schrader said, we did reach out to Mr. Golden just to make sure that he would be able to be present at these meetings, and found out the conflict was ending at this point. But we don't disagree with you, Mark, that it is important to be at these meetings.
It's his appointment.
Alderman Taylor?
Thank you. What percentage did he miss, or how many meetings? Well, you must have
I don't know.
somebody should be keeping track of that, because it's in the ordinance.
The chair would direct the mayor to bring this forward if they felt that the person was absent too often. So,
So, no numbers, halftime.
If you would have asked before the meeting, we could have brought some forward, but no, we don't keep running numbers there.
Sandra gave us an email on it.
Yeah, I know she did. Yeah. I thought maybe they got the email. Thank you.
Alderman Sevenick?
Thank you, Mayor. I don't totally disagree with my two colleagues on each side of me, but, and Kip, has always had issues with me because he didn't see, my point about this being the greater Fox Cities when they wanted it to be the greater Appleton always.
I forgot
And
about that.
he's always, but that's interpersonal. I look at Kip and his qualifications to serve our community, and I think he's done an outstanding job. Becky serves with him on that committee. She wouldn't have nominated him if she didn't think he was an asset to the community, and I think he is. Even though he and I might have small differences, I think he serves our community well, so I will be voting for him.
Okay, with that, we will take a roll call on this.
Alderman Sevenick? Alderman Langdon? Alderman Schmidt? Alderman Tom Grady? Alderman Ted Grady? Alderman Rapella? Alderman Nichols? Alderman Taylor? Motion carries 7-1.
Item,
Mayor, before you move forward,
sure. Oops.
I would ask that the council give me unanimous consent to speak on something that isn't necessarily here, but it's not action item. It's a compliment. It's a compliment to this body and to the staff and the mayor. If you've been reading the newspapers lately, other communities are spending tens of millions of dollars more in interest payments and project costs. We had the foresight, all of you had the foresight to move forward with that city garage. That city garage came in at the lowest possible interest rate that we locked in. That project came under budget, and not only that, we were able to do the bells and whistles, the tank system, the cold storage, the streets, the roads, everything. You guys did a darn good job, and you should be very proud of it. And I want the city of Menasha out there to know about what happened, because when good things happen, it's not talked about. When bad things happen, all of a sudden it's the front page of the paper or in social media. So I want to congratulate everybody here that was involved with the city garage. I am very proud of what we did and what we accomplished. Everything from the financing, to making the tough decisions, and then moving forward to add some bells and whistles so that it's not just for the next couple of years, but it's for decades to come. And we're going to be able to provide a service to our community, a better service to our community by having this city garage. So thank you very much. I can't tell you, and when I read those articles, I thought, you know what? You guys all deserve a medal for sticking to your guns. I'm sorry, maybe a gold star from Randy. Thanks.
So we'll include that under public comments, and is there anyone else who wishes to make a comment this evening? If not, I will accept a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned, thank you.
The University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh Fox Cities campus assists the City of Menasha with video recordings of city meetings. Menasha residents and interested parties can get information about city meetings, meeting agendas, and other documents from the city website, www.cityofmenasha-wi.gov. To express opinions about City of Menasha issues or these broadcasts, contact the Mayor's office, 920-967-3608. Contact a City Alderman. Contact information appears on the website. Or complete the electronic feedback form on the City website. All public portions of the meetings are recorded in entirety and are not edited.